75, 64, 57, 24. These aren't random numbers. These are the ages of the patients that my practice has diagnosed with melanoma in the last 2 weeks. I'm standing here tonight because of those 4 patients, 2 of them have metastatic disease, and one of those 2 is 24. My goal is not to impress upon you what a devastating diagnosis melanoma is, but rather to convince you that the work of Mollies Fund is vital in making sure it doesn't continue to be, because it can be cured if caught early. There's no reason our teenage daughters should continue to go to tanning beds before prom. There's no reason why schools should need a permission slip to apply sunscreen to toddlers who are out at recess, or why camps don't make sunscreen a required part of their summer fun. I'm saying this to you because when you say it out loud, you start to realize how crazy it is. My child can have an email account, but his school can't put sunscreen on him. My name is Kavita Mariwalla, and I'm a dermatologist on the South Shore of Long Island. And I'm a mom to 3 delicious little boys, 4, 2, and 1. They're my little Irish triplets, if you will. And I tell you this because when you're a working mom, few things can pull you away from an evening with your children. And if you're like me, putting on heels and makeup and a dress, that's a tall order sometimes. But I'm here tonight because I was in a New York City cab years ago, and I saw a PSA put out by Mollies Fund. It featured Molly's sisters and told her story. And to this day, I remember that original PSA and the street my taxi was on when I saw it. I mean, I can't even remember what I ate for lunch today, but I remember that moment when I was on Irving Place in Manhattan. So much so that when I was approached to do a skin cancer screening and I found out it was for Mollies Fund, I said yes, even without a moment of hesitation. And what the Begains probably didn't realize was that for me, it was an honor to be asked by them and an honor to volunteer. I was expecting this larger-than-life family. I mean, they had PSAs in New York City cabs, and I've volunteered for a lot of organizations, and that's a really big deal. And while I'm a Mollies Fund supporter as a person, as a physician, I admire what they're doing. From the passenger in that taxi, I've become a dermatologist who uses their resources for patients every day. Few organizations have been able to mobilize the way they do, from getting support from major sunscreen manufacturers to making sure pediatric inpatients have sunscreen. They do what they say they're going to do. There isn't a throng of interns or administrative fees. There's not these committees and red tape. It's this family and volunteers, and they work this hard because they have a promise they are keeping to a really important person. So when I showed up at the J. Gallagher Memorial Lacrosse Tournament to do the skin cancer screening, I met this lovely man who extended his hand to grab a box I was carrying. And he's like, "Hi, I'm Jack Begain." And I was like, "Oh my God, please don't carry that box. I got it. I'm really sorry." But see, that's the thing. The Begains are one of the nicest families I've ever met. So down to earth. So down to earth. So kind and so passionate. And therein lies the rub, the inherent unfairness of what they've been through. No one should ever have to face the heartache of losing a child. Melanoma, it does not discriminate. Mollies Fund understands that. It doesn't just affect Caucasian people of European descent, so they made brochures in Spanish. Thank you. When I was the head of cutaneous oncology at St. Luke's Roosevelt in Beth Israel, 25% of my patients who had skin cancer were my skin color or darker. And let me tell you, nothing changes you like when you see it up front. So while those mayors in France may hate the burkini, I'm like, hey, how do I get me one of those? Because melanoma, it doesn't ask for an invitation. But the work of Mollies Fund is innovative, and it is sounding the alarm. Like you saw in that segment, Mollies Fund is putting the reality out there. They realize that melanoma should not be sugar-coated because it is deadly and because we can do more to prevent it. In 2016, every hour an American dies of melanoma. Still, that statistic has not changed. Every sunburn that a child gets is melanoma knocking on the door. Every tanning bed use is a melanoma ringing the doorbell. And in a world where media hits and guerrilla marketing are sometimes the only thing that can capture a viewer's attention, Mollies Fund is making sure it is letting people know that melanoma is still something we have to deal with. I could tell you statistics, that it's the fastest growing cancer in people between ages 30 and 50. Between 30 and 50. People are in the prime of their lives. And yes, we've made immense advances in it, but what that really means is that now people with stage 4 disease can potentially survive 18 instead of 6 months. Now don't get me wrong, that year, that's incredible for them. But how about we catch it early and not have a conversation that has to deal with months? The US Preventative Task Force recently issued a recommendation that was interpreted by some as recommending against total skin checks as a way to prevent melanoma. It was all over the news. And I want to take this opportunity to explain the facts. The group of researchers who made this recommendation did not say skin checks are useless. What they did find is that in the entire body of literature, scientific data, there were only 14 studies that showed whether total body skin checks actually make a difference. There were only 14. So what they concluded was that there was insufficient evidence to say one way or another. And you know what? Based on 14 studies, they're right. But that's not what you should be looking at. Shame on us. Shame on the medical professions for not writing up what we see on a daily basis. I do skin checks all the time. And so yes, I diagnosed 4 melanomas in 2 weeks. And yes, 2 of those people are going to have a very long haul. But this year, I've diagnosed 119. And of the 119 melanomas since January 1st until today, 117 of those people are going to be just fine because they got their skin checked. I'm here tonight because it's time. It's time to change the statistics. And it starts with making sure the public is aware and dispelling myths. A base tan isn't going to prevent a burn in Aruba. And no, you shouldn't be getting more sun because your vitamin D level is low. And no, your sunscreen isn't going to give you cancer. I've never seen a case of someone dying because of their sunscreen, but I've seen the sun kill people. We need truth tellers, and it is my privilege to be here tonight in support of a group that is doing a great job getting the truth out there. Facts fight cancer. Grassroots efforts fight cancer. Education fights cancer, and Mollies Fund is a leader in this. The beauty of Mollies Fund is that the work that the Gaines do is not for credit. It's not for some recognition. It is purely because they are loving parents and a loving family who refuse to let anyone else suffer. And when you hear their story and you see the work that has been done and continues to be done, it compels you to act. It compels you to shave your legs and put on heels and tell your husband you're going to be home late. It compels you to spread the word. It compels you to volunteer, and it should compel you to donate. Bid on those auction items tonight because Mollies Fund, they do good work. I'm here tonight because melanoma doesn't have to be the devastating cancer that it is. I'm here tonight, and I'm joining you tonight in the name of Molly. Thank you.